What's going on, everybody? Joe Spears alongside my good friend Kevin Bergsmith. Kevin, how you doing? How's this November weather treating you? Because it's already gotten me, and I think I have a cold.
Oh man, it's feeling good so far. Been outside, still enjoying it. Feels like fall. A lot of crisp air, but still kind of warm. Loving it.
Yeah, this is about the time I got sick last year, and I'm pretty sure I was sick all the way through Chattanooga. So I'm hoping this is just a little cold. We shall see. Who knows? It's Tennessee weather; it gets everybody sick.
Yeah, right.
We are on to the quarterfinals. As crazy as that sounds, depending on when this video comes out, we maybe should be right by them. It's maybe Thursday or Friday. We're gonna go look at second round action though. You were at Ravenwood, where the 6A favorites, in my opinion, hosted Franklin in a region matchup. Ravenwood won this game earlier in the year. Franklin gave them all they could handle in that matchup, but Ravenwood took care of business. This time around, though, not so much. Close after the first, you were texting me updates, and I was like, 10-7 after one. That makes about some sense. Then you just kept texting me updates, and I was like, yeah, that makes even more sense. So before we get into the breakdown of the players, just your overall thoughts on what you saw Friday night.
I liked both teams, even though the score made it look like it wasn't that close of a matchup. We talked about it last week that Franklin's record was not really indicative of their talent. All their losses were to really good programs. I think a total of 4 losses between the 5 total losses overall.
Yep.
And we'll end up talking about one of these players, Donovan Starr, but you can tell the good programs by they know the good players and they just stay away from them. They don't even test them, and they did not test Donovan Starr. They stayed away from him, but it still wasn't enough. Ravenwood, they showed up. They looked the absolute part of the number 4 team in the state. Took care of business at home. It was I could tell in pregame they have an awesome scoreboard. They had an awesome hype video with their head coach Will Hester and showing highlights of Ravenwood, and then they played the Purge kind of music and video. If you've ever heard that at one of these playoff games, especially against a region opponent, you just like, oh man, I feel bad for the other side right now. Like there's no way this team is losing at home. But yeah, Ravenwood, their defense really impressive. Their offense really impressive. They run a 2 quarterback system. Didn't really miss a beat between either guy, and completely different with each different quarterback. So you had one offense with one guy and then a different type of offense with the other guy, and they were both humming. It was just Franklin was overmatched with going against that team. So really impressive at home.
That's a big reason why I have them as my 6A state title favorites, is that 2 quarterback platoon they throw out there with Femi Babaloa and Maverick Chance. Maverick more of the running dual threat guy, very physical runner. He'll run it down your throat. The kid has no fear at all. And that's saying something because he got hurt before the season last year, missed his sophomore season. He plays, I mean, he's not afraid. And then Femi, more your prototypical big arm quarterback. Kids got a rocket. There's a reason a lot of SEC schools are starting to take notice of him. I think we'll see him pick up a lot of offers here in the winter, going into the spring. He's a big kid too, so he can run, but he's more of the passer. But yeah, Ravenwood to me is the most complete 6A team around. Offense, defense, special teams, they really don't have any holes. And I think that win Friday night proved that 45-13 win over Franklin, a team that, again, they tested them earlier in the year. They took care of business, and they are on to the quarters. So you mentioned one of those guys earlier, Donovan Starr, four-star Auburn commitment, ranked number 10 in the state. He's a dude. He plays basketball. He's a good basketball player as well, but I mean, he is a football player first and foremost. Thankfully, he has his huddle highlights up that we can kind of take a look at from Friday night. So, interception here gets Ravenwood in position for a score, I'm assuming, early on.
This was in the second quarter. This was kind of the nail in the coffin. I think they scored after that to make it 31-7 right before halftime. And then this is early in the first quarter, I think after their first touchdown, and he makes this game or a touchdown saving tackle on special teams on kickoff. This is in the third quarter. I think it was the only time they targeted him the whole game. There was an incompletion. This was also in the third quarter, and he blows up this bubble screen for a tackle for loss. Love seeing a corner with a tackle for loss. It's fantastic. I think I jumped out of my seat on the Ravenwood sideline. Like I said, they didn't really target him a whole lot. Good teams stay away from good players. So respect to Franklin for just kind of not even trying to test him very much. But he showed up. He made the most of his opportunities. He had 4.5 tackles. 1.5 of those were on special teams on kickoffs. Like we saw, he made that one touchdown saving tackle, and then the other 3 were on defense. One was a tackle for loss. The other 2 kind of off the ball, downfield, saving. They were big plays that he stopped from scoring plays.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was telling you off camera before we started, most of these guys that we look at, they're big. They're just their measurables are why we're looking at them. And when I got there for pregame, I'm looking around, I find number 0, and I had to do a double, like, is this the guy I'm supposed to be looking at? He's not that big. And then the game started, and he is very fast. His play speed, just so much faster than everybody else. Not that they're walking, but kind of looks like they're running through molasses, and he's just kind of gliding on ice. Mm-hmm. Open field tackling, big thing with him. He did not miss in space at all, especially for his size. Like, that was a big thing for me. Great special teams value. And then we saw the interception. So his ball skills are right there too. It was kind of a duck. He didn't really have to like make a play on the ball, but I've seen plenty of guys drop that when they have the opportunity, and he made the most of it. So he's different from all these other guys that we've talked about this year, but I walked away very impressed with him.
6 foot, 176 pounds. And I think we're being generous on the weight because again, he's not a big kid. We'll see what happens when he gets to a college strength program and see what happens there, how much he builds up. But yeah, just for how, slender he is, he can blow plays up, and he has he'll hit anybody. It doesn't matter who you are. He's strong. He's skinny, but he is strong, and his speed is his greatest strength. I mean, he's one of the fastest players in the state. He's just a weapon. I mean, he does play offense for him too. Not sure if he did it all in this game. Probably didn't.
Yeah, he played. I had him at 9 snaps. They play him a little bit. He doesn't start on offense, but they kind of rotate him in. He got targeted one time, but it was a little overthrown. They didn't really, to be honest, they didn't need him on offense for this game. So,
how do you see his game projecting to the next level at Auburn, or it's college football commitments. You never know where kids are going to end up nowadays. He is an Auburn commitment as we speak. Who knows what the future holds, but at Auburn or wherever he ends up playing.
He's built like a corner, but he's got safety skills. He looks versatile. Like I said, they used him on kickoff kind of as a safety. Even at corner, they were playing a lot, mixed up their coverages. He was playing cover 2, cover 3, saw him in man on an island every once in a while. And they stayed away from him, but just his play speed and just his football IQ, when they did target him, we saw he made plays, had that one incompletion, blew up the play in the backfield. When he gets the opportunities, he's making plays. So he's built more like a corner, but I could see him playing safety. Just depends on where he goes. He's going to Auburn. Everybody's a little bit different. Some guys, when I was at FSU, we didn't designate between corners and safeties. We just had defensive backs. And the coach would figure out whether they're playing him over here, have a star position. And he's the type of guy with his speed and his toughness. And like I said, special team value, open field tackling, like he'll find a way on the field and they'll put him somewhere wherever he's able to make plays, and he'll make them for Auburn. I'm not really looking forward to it as a Tennessee fan. So
another couple guys you looked at that are going to stay in state, but they're heading down to Murfreesboro. Kyle Larkin, the offensive tackle, 6'5", 295 pounds, massive specimen of a human being. And then Ben Hubbard, the 5'10", 170 pound, probably slot receiver, I guess would be maybe the most appropriate way to describe him. For the Raptors, their best offensive weapon outside of Star when he's on that side of the ball. Both those guys played. Hubbard maybe a little bit more of an impact, 6 catches for 62 yards. He was targeted 7 times, but again, like you mentioned with Star on the offensive side, didn't really need him all that much with how much they dominated. And then Larkin, played 57 snaps, 57 at left tackle. Just kind of did a little bit of everything. So what do you see out of those two guys?
We'll start with Hubbard. He had 6 catches for 62 yards. Like I said, he was targeted on 7. Um, they used him kind of all over the place. He plays, I would project him more of a slot guy just based on his size, but they use him outside, move him around. They put him in motion 8 times. They play kind of this like veer misdirection offense, run heavy. I think 3 of his catches were jet sweep passes. So it's when they put him in motion, and then as soon as they snap it, they just kind of pitch it forward about half a yard, and he catches it on the run, going sideline to sideline, making something happen. He had, I think, a bubble screen for 21 yards, and then he had an out route for 21 yards. Just short passes and making plays in space. And he's tough. In between every possession, saw him on the sideline. He's doing the little, just kind of like doing his little sprints, like getting ready to get out of his stance and working on his release. He was locked in the whole game. Good little run blocker as well. Yeah, he was. I liked him a lot. Definitely looks like a prototypical Ravenwood receiver.
Yep.
And then Larkin looks every bit a college lineman. Had knee braces on, had the all black going on. Their jerseys were awesome with the red and black. Like as soon as you saw her, it's like, all right, that's the college offensive lineman I'm looking at.
It's my favorite look. Ravenwood's all black. It's my favorite look out of every team. I'm a sucker for all black, but their color scheme, the red, the gold, it's clean. So sorry. You mentioned it's the best look.
Yeah, I love it. It was great. Very intimidating. Like we said, he plays left tackle. Honestly, he plays more like a right tackle, very physical. They're using that run heavy offense. Like I said, using that kind of like veer misdirection. So he's releasing to the second level a lot, doing a lot of run heavy stuff. I really like his toughness, body control, play strength, anchor. Like they were running behind him a lot. So really liked him. He did have a holding penalty. He did have a personal foul penalty as well, but kind of like that out of your offensive lineman. If he doesn't have a personal foul penalty, he's doing something wrong. So
nasty.
Yeah, he's a nasty player.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't really mention. What do you think of we talked a little bit about him earlier, Femi and Maverick. What do you think of what you saw of those two guys?
Maverick is definitely like the leader of that team. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I wasn't taking stats on them, but he definitely scored a couple times. One was on a big run. I think it was like 50 yards. And it might have been the first one of the game. And he slid into the end zone and started doing a snow angel. I think he got popped for a celebration penalty, and no one cared. It was like that kid's just having fun out there. Yeah. And then Femi, when he came in, you could tell he's young and he's trying to do a little bit too much. He had a couple plays where he has the ability to extend, but he's not doesn't really have like the veteran presence to know when to throw it away or when to extend. He's just kind of doing it because he can. But he definitely, I think he ran for a touchdown, definitely threw for a touchdown. Both guys, I think, led multiple scoring drives. So they both look good. That's why their offense is so impressive. Not only do they have 2 very talented quarterbacks, talented receivers, talented running backs, talented offensive line, but they have a very good, very accomplished offensive mind at head coach in Will Hester. So with you have a guy like that drawing up the scheme and you have players like that executing, they are going to be really, really tough to get put out in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think there were a lot of questions heading into the year about who their starting quarterback would be, with Maverick returning from injury and Femi, who really came out of nowhere last year as a sophomore and did some really good things for a team I saw a lot of potential in. They were just so young last year. They both come in, and I'm not sure there's a starting quarterback. You have 2 quarterbacks that could start any week. There are weeks where Maverick's legs are your best weapon. Then you have weeks where Femi's arm is your best weapon. Just look at the Oakland game. Femi had a great game leading them to that win over Oakland in overtime. Other weeks, Maverick carries them on his feet. So if they can keep both these guys through their senior years, I know that's kind of hard. They both are alphas that want to play and want to start, but they're both getting their shot. They're both doing great things. And then when you have a coach, like you said, like Coach Hester there, I don't know why you wouldn't want to stay and play for him for the next couple of years. Right now, they are very much the part. They'll host Stewart's Creek this week. 11-1 Stewart's Creek that just beat Ravenwood, so we don't get Battle of the Woods Part 2. But they get to take on Stewart's Creek, and if they win that game, they got to travel all the way out to Houston. And last year, I would have been worried about that game. This year, not so much. I think they are Houston or Collierville, one of those teams. Just assuming Houston.
Yeah.
I'm not really worried about them making the trip out to Memphis, and I'm not really worried about them making the long trip down to Chattanooga if they win that game. So Ravenwood's good. They're really good. There's a reason they're the number one team in our large class rankings here on 615preps.com. They're my number one team in our coverage area, and it's really not all that close. It's between them and Ensworth. So Ravenwood's good. You got to see the best 6A team around here last week. This week, you'll get to see the best D2 AA team in a rematch of last year's state championship game. CPA hosting Boyd Buchanan, and it's not even debatable. It's the best coaching matchup in the state. Gary Rankin, Ingle Martin, so many state titles between the two. Gary Rankin's last two state championship losses have come to Ingle Martin. So that's going to be a heck of a matchup. Just kind of what are some things you're kind of looking forward to seeing out of that game?
I'll be looking at a couple players in that game. So that's the first thing. Junior receiver Owen Cabell, I think. Yep. And then looking at an offensive lineman going to Furman. First CPA, Brady Smith, I think is his name. So looking forward to both of those. Maybe jumping the gun a little bit. I love CPA Stadium. We've talked about stadiums all year. If they're not in the top 3, they're definitely in the top 5. I love the Den. It's great. The whole atmosphere, the brick, kind of sunken, the grass. I love that stadium. It's fantastic. And then Boyd Buchanan,
I like the stadium when I'm not on the field. If I'm on the field and you're on the sideline, it's awful. But as a fan, it's amazing.
Yeah. And then with Boyd Buchanan, not that I had any doubt in Coach Rankin, but the fact that he's turned them into a powerhouse and as quickly as he's done it.
3 years.
And also without, I look at players that are ranked and we're doing scouting reports on guys, and there's nobody for him. He's doing this with, not that the cupboard's bare, he's got talented guys, but he doesn't have the 5 stars. He doesn't have the 4 stars. He's just coaching up players and winning a lot of games with guys. And it's all about scheme. I remember seeing one of Alcoa's state championships. They had so many. I remember seeing one of them in Cookeville, and they won it on just this weird call at the end of the game. It was just nobody else does this.
Was it the Covington game in 2019?
It might have been it. They won it on it wasn't a call. It was kind of they came up to the line and did a fake snap, and then they and then they didn't bite, and then everybody shifted, and then that's when the defense bit on it, and it was just oh my God, come on! I remember just sitting there nobody does that. They were just so calm. They tried to get him. Oh, it didn't work. We'll get him on a different thing, but doing the same type of stuff. And it was just only one coach, only one program can do that. And that's Gary Rankin at Boyd Buchanan. So definitely looking forward to that. And then I didn't even talk about it, but Ingle Martin at CPA, if we talked about Oakland and Coach Creasy earlier this year, but Ingle Martin and CPA is right there with him. I love what he has done at CPA over the past 10, 15 years. It's incredible what he's done there. And that atmosphere, I love CPA. The whole thing. I'm so excited for Friday. I can't wait.
We say Gary Rankin's number 1. Number 2 is a toss up between Ingle Martin and Coach Creasy at Oakland for good reason. They just know how to win. Coach Martin, one of the best coaches, but also one of the best people you'll ever meet. Just always so hospitable. I may be at that game. We're still trying to figure things out. There are 3 really good Division II matchups here in Middle Tennessee on Friday that we are trying to decide which one to send me to. So that'll be interesting. But Kevin, enjoy CPA. We'll talk again next week. And, man, Chattanooga will be here before we know it, man.
Yep.
So Always enjoy talking with you. Hope the rest of your week goes well. And for me, I'm Joe Spears. My dog Penny's in the back trying to get ready for bed, apparently. Kevin Bergsmith, the rest of the 615 Preps crew. We'll see you next week.
See you guys.